Jehovah's servants are busy people. We share in the preaching work, we attend Christian meetings, and we study the Bible and the publications provided by the faithful and discreet slave class. All of this takes time and effort. In addition, parents, especially fathers, have the God-given responsibility of caring for the spiritual, emotional, and physical needs of their families. For the most part, we manage to accomplish these things in spite of living in a wicked system that places so much emphasis on material pursuits. Still, it is a continuous struggle. Jesus emphasized that our success as Christians would require vigorous effort. But with so many things to do, we must not allow ourselves to be overwhelmed or weighed down. Daily anxieties could very easily choke our zeal and appreciation for theocratic activities. Some brothers and sisters may have allowed certain aspects of their service to Jehovah to become somewhat routine. Because of our imperfect human nature, we could unwittingly adopt a half-hearted attitude toward our sacred service. Surely we do not want that to happen. The heritage that Jehovah has entrusted to us is far too precious to let it become commonplace. Let us observe how a family of Jehovah's Witnesses takes appropriate action to safeguard their appreciation for the spiritual heritage we all share.
Mary, I'm home.
Hi, dear.
Well, you look like you've had a busy day.
I've almost finished cleaning the kitchen cupboards. How did it go at work today?
Work was fine. What happened after work? Well, that's another story.
What happened? Are you all right?
Oh, yes, I'm fine. I just went through such an embarrassing situation. Where are the children?
Jason's in his room doing his homework, and Debbie's out with Grandpa. Don't worry, we can talk. Tell me, what happened?
Well, just as I was ready to leave work, my boss approached me with some work-related question. You know, he trusts me, so he doesn't feel the need to look over my shoulder. I really don't see him that often. In fact, this is the first time I've seen him since we returned from our district convention 2 weeks ago.
So was he disappointed with your work or something?
No, nothing like that. My boss has always been pleased with my work and very cooperative in letting me take extra days for our district conventions. Every year I tell him how important these large Christian gatherings are for us and how much we enjoy them. Today, for the first time, he actually showed some interest in the convention.
Well, that's great, dear.
Now, let me tell you the rest of the story. He asked me how the convention went. I said, fine. I thanked him again for giving me the extra days, and then he sat down and said, so tell me, Tim, 3 days of instruction. That's a lot of information. What do you do with it? Mary, I felt so... At that moment, I drew a blank. I just couldn't...
What?
I just couldn't come up with a good answer to his question. I was so embarrassed. Here I've been telling him for years how important these conventions are, and I couldn't even use this opportunity to give him a good witness. Of course, I gave him some kind of general answer and told him that I was in a hurry to get home. It was so embarrassing.
Well, Tim, don't take it so hard. He just caught you off guard. You were on your way out. Maybe you'll have another opportunity.
I don't know, Mary. The truth of the matter is that I have only a vague idea of what was presented at the convention.
I don't have very good notes from the convention, but if we talk about it a little, I'm sure I can remember some things that you could share with him tomorrow.
Remember when we were younger? Even when our children were small, we were so excited during the conventions. And we were so disciplined that we followed every single word that was said from the platform, taking notes and talking about the points on the way home. It seems to me that our appreciation for spiritual things may have waned somewhat.
Dad, Mom, look what Grandpa got me. Isn't it beautiful?
Hi, Grandpa. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. And what's happening with the man of the house? Is he behaving?
I'm sorry, Dad. I'm glad to see you. I was just talking to Mary about how, if we're not careful, we can take certain theocratic provisions for granted.
Grandpa, have you ever felt as if you were worshiping Jehovah in a somewhat mechanical or routine way?
Mary, it's been 55 years since I got baptized. During all those years, I've had my ups and downs. At times, brief periods of discouragement. Yes, there have been times, I suppose, when I lost some of my initial zeal. But overall, I've always tried to maintain a sense of urgency in my service to Jehovah.
Well, it seems to me that you've always had such a positive attitude. You've been a source of encouragement to all of us, especially when Mother died. You have such strong faith in Jehovah and in the resurrection.
But a positive attitude doesn't develop by chance. It takes effort. It takes a vigorous approach. We need to use our power of reason and monitor our spirituality constantly so that we don't lose appreciation for our spiritual heritage.
That's true. And I think some of us are a bit too passive when it comes to fighting discouragement and spiritual lethargy. I like that expression, Dad. Spiritual heritage.
What do you mean by that?
Well, to me, an inheritance or heritage means something that parents pass on to their children, whether it be material possessions, a way of thinking, culture, language, or anything else. Our Father Jehovah has also provided an inheritance for his worshipers.
That's right. Our spiritual heritage includes our precious relationship with Jehovah, the life-saving work of preaching the good news, the privilege of belonging to Jehovah's earthly organization, and the pure language of truth. All these spiritual provisions make up an inheritance from God that we must appreciate and actively protect. In a way, we must be willing to fight for it so that we don't lose it. We need to develop and maintain a vibrant zeal for spiritual things.
Tim, maybe sometime soon we need to talk about this as a family, including the children.
Well, we could start right now if everyone is available, and we can bring it up again during our family study next week.
So what's this about including us? Oh, hi, Grandpa. I didn't see you.
Debbie, would you please come in here for a moment?
Tim, I often think about the excellent example of Jacob and the great efforts he made in order to preserve his spiritual heritage. Would that example be a good one to talk about?
Sure, Dad. Debbie, Jason, if you have a couple of minutes, I want to get your opinion on something.
Well, you have my attention.
We were talking about how our appreciation for spiritual things can diminish over time if we're not careful. I was just telling your mother about one area where I need to improve.
And that made us think of you kids.
Don't answer now, but just think about it. Are there any aspects of your service to Jehovah that are becoming somewhat routine? Do you see a need to increase your appreciation for spiritual things? Grandpa is going to tell us a bit about the history of Jacob, and then I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts.
Tim, I don't know if you want to take the time.
Yes, we'll take the time. Jason, please get a Bible.
Oh, well, all right. The lesson in this account is that we should be willing to work hard, even struggle, to preserve and protect our spiritual blessings. Yes, our heritage from Jehovah. First, listen to the story of Jacob. Jacob and Esau were brothers, twin brothers. They both considered themselves worshippers of Jehovah. However, only one of them, Jacob, had true appreciation for the inheritance from God, while his brother, Esau, despised sacred things.
What do you think of my new bow, Peleg? It's nearly twice as strong as my old one. I doubt if anyone else from here to Gerar can make full use of it.
It looks like a fine, powerful bow, Esau.
Father depends on me for game in his mouth. It'd certainly never have any if we're up to my brother Jacob. Here, Jacob, see if you can bend it even halfway.
I'm sure I couldn't. I'm not the hunter you are, my brother.
You read too much. During all these years, you've had plenty of opportunities to come with me and learn to hunt. You're big enough and strong enough. It's never too late, you know. By the way, why not come with me tomorrow to the archery contest in the camp of the Hittites and watch me put the sons of Elon to shame with my new bow?
I don't think I will, Esau. I have much to do with our father's flocks, and I want to finish reading these scrolls. I'm amazed every time I think about how Jehovah God has blessed men of faith like Abel, Enoch, and Noah. And when I meditate on God's promises to our own father Isaac and grandfather Abraham, Esau, we have such a valuable heritage from Jehovah. You should...
Now you're beginning to sound like our mother Rebecca. If the two of you were to have your way, I'd do nothing but sit around the tent reading and listening to stories about our heritage.
Peleg, perhaps it is best that you give us some privacy now.
Yes, my lord. Just call me when you need me. I'll be with the flocks.
Esau, it is good to meditate upon these things. It prepares us for what Jehovah has in store for us in the future. Besides, there's much more to do than sit around reading, as you say, Esau. And it troubles me greatly that you pay so little attention to the management of our father's flocks and herds, and to the stewarding of this vast household of male and female servants and their families.
Why should I bother myself with such menial work when you're so willing to do it? You always wanted to be firstborn anyway. Doesn't bother me if you want to play at it until I'm ready to take over Father's position as family patriarch.
Being the firstborn son of Isaac is not as simple as that, Esau. And the management of this vast household is only a small part of it. What of the covenant promise that our God Jehovah made to our grandfather Abraham, and that he repeated to our father
You're
Isaac?
Always talking about the promise. I've heard it 1,000 times. The covenant, the seed, the promise.
You are being disrespectful to Jehovah. Don't you care anything about the covenant promise?
Of course I do. But I don't have to spend all my time talking about it, thinking about it. I have plenty of other things to do. Don't you worry. Someday I'll concentrate more on the covenant promise. And don't question my loyalty to Jehovah.
I'm sorry, Esau, but it seems to me that you're becoming indifferent. Remember, all the nations of the earth are to bless themselves through the seed of Abraham. Think of that, Esau. All the nations. You are the firstborn. You are the heir. That great responsibility.
I know all that. And when the time comes...
But what are you doing now to establish a close relationship with Jehovah? The relationship Abraham and Isaac have had. Can you learn of our God and his way of dealing with his servants by carrying your bow and arrows out into the hills day after day? Can you learn about our God and his commandments by spending so much time among the Hittites?
That's enough, Jacob. You do what you want to do, but I'll manage my affairs my way. You've always coveted my right as firstborn, and as far as...
I do not covet your right as firstborn. But I am vitally concerned about the covenant promise of our God Jehovah. It is our heritage from God. Esau, take care that your casual view of God's promise does not lead you to despise the sacred things of God.
You take care, Jacob, that you do not push me too far.
Please, Esau, if you continue to ignore your obligations before Jehovah, and if you persist in cultivating friendship with the Hittites, what is to prevent you from marrying a daughter of the Hittites someday, rejecting your heritage, and even worshiping their gods?
Jacob, go back to your scrolls and leave me alone. You're so unreasonable. I'm going hunting. Peleg, come! You can now get back to your master's scrolls.
Oh, Esau, my brother, when will you learn to value the wonderful heritage that you have received from Jehovah? What will become of Jehovah's promise if you continue in your selfish course? May Jehovah show us the way.
though raised in a God-fearing household, chose to despise sacred things. At some point in his life, he may have had some appreciation for his spiritual heritage, but he allowed other things, material things, to take a more important place in his life. In time, his birthright had little or no value in his eyes. One day, Jacob was boiling up some stew when Esau came along from the field. Esau was tired.
Did you find any game, Esau?
No, I did not. I'm starved. Quick, please. Give me a swallow of the red. The red there. For I am tired.
Wait, Esau. What will you give me for the stew? Sell me, first of all, your right as firstborn, and I'll give you all the stew you can eat.
Here I am, simply going to die. What benefit to me is a birthright?
Swear to me, first of all, Esau.
As you say, so be it. I swear before Jehovah that the birthright is yours. Now, give me that stew.
Before I give you the stew, Esau, one more question. Do you understand what you are doing? Do you realize that you are giving up your opportunity to be Jehovah's instrument in fulfilling his promise to Abraham, and that I am now taking your place as the heir to the promise?
Yes, yes. I don't need to hear our family history now. Just give me something to eat.
Here's your stew, Esau, and here's some bread. May Jehovah's will be done.
After some time, Esau married Hittite women and became a wandering hunter and warrior, harboring great animosity for his twin brother. He had lost his spiritual heritage. On the other hand, Jacob chose a wife from among his own people and continued to show great appreciation for sacred things. In fact, more than once, Jehovah confirmed Jacob's legal right to the birthright. Still, through the years, Jacob often had to struggle in order to remain in Jehovah's favor and preserve his heritage. Even as an old man, he manifested deep appreciation for sacred things. It was because of Jacob's vigorous pursuit of spiritual blessings, even as a 97-year-old man, that Jehovah gave him a new name, Israel, which means contender or perseverer with God. Perhaps we can imagine the very moment when Jacob's family discovered that he had been given this new name.
Father, where have you been? There are servants and slaves looking for you all over the torn valley of Jabba.
We were so worried.
Oh.
We stayed up all night waiting for you.
Be careful. I'm hurt. Please, go and tell your mother and Rachel that I have arrived.
Rachel!
Father, why are you limping?
Did you fall? Did a beast hurt you?
No, my sons. Last night...
Jacob, my beloved husband, are you well? What happened?
Oh, Rachel. Don't worry. I am well. It's just my thigh joint. Oh, it does hurt. But don't worry. I got here walking on my own. I am well.
Obed, Bilhah, bring some milk and bread for all, quickly.
The boys were so worried. Oh, Jacob,
Please,
Jacob.
Calm down, all of you. And please, sit and listen. Lower your voices. There's no need to wake up Joseph and the other little ones. I have something to tell you. Obed, Bilhah, please, stay and listen. Our Lord Jehovah has changed my name. I am now Israel, and you are now the house of Israel. Last night, I saw God face to face, and yet my soul was delivered.
My Lord, please explain the meaning of your words and why you are limping.
This is what happened. Last night, after we crossed the ford of Jabbok, I was left by myself, not too far from here. Then I saw a man walking away, He was no ordinary man. His appearance was that of the angels of God, whom I met before at Mahanaim. I said to myself, this time I will not let an angel go away from me without first receiving his blessing. So I ran after him, and I called him. But he ignored me. I grabbed his arm, but he pulled away. So I laid hold of him with a firm grip. He then tried to shake me off. We both fell to the ground. He kept trying to get away. I was afraid that he would not bless me. This went on until dawn.
But Jacob, how can a 97-year-old man wrestle with an angel?
I don't know, Leah. In the struggle, we rolled in the tall grass, and at one point, we almost fell into a deep section of the Jabbok River.
No, Jacob.
I just kept holding fast to him, and he kept trying to get away. Finally, he simply touched the socket of my thigh joint, and the socket got out of place.
Oh, Father, that must have hurt you.
Yes, Reuben, but I kept my grip on the angel. I was so tired, and my thigh was hurting so much. I was afraid that in the end he would get away from me. After I had struggled so vigorously, would the angel leave me without a blessing? I began to weep. Yes, I wept that I might implore favor for myself and those of my household. After that, the angel said, "Let me go, for the dawn has ascended." To this I said, "I am not going to let you go until you first bless me." So he said to me, "What is your name?" To which I said, "Jacob." Then he said, "Your name will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have contended with God and with men, so that you at last prevailed." In turn, I inquired and said, "Tell me, please, your name." However, he said, "Why is it that you inquire for my name?" With that, he blessed me. So I called the name of that place Peniel, because there I saw God face to face, and yet my soul was delivered.
Father, let's go there now. I want to see the place you call Peniel.
Perhaps the angel is still there. Perhaps he'll give me
Judah,
a new name too.
Levi, please, be quiet. Let Father finish what he's saying.
Boys, settle down. Jacob, Israel, we are very glad to see that you are well, and we thank Jehovah for the blessing you have received from him.
Indeed, my lord. You've always had deep appreciation when it comes to the things relating to the worship of Jehovah. You never give up. That's why we love you so much, Jacob.
Remember, Leah, his name is Israel. Yes, the one who persisted.
My sons Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. My dear family, Jehovah has blessed us. He will protect us. You and your brothers will pass on to your children and their children a great heritage from Jehovah. But you must be willing to persevere with all your dynamic energy, for only then will you prevail in holding fast to the blessing from Jehovah.
This account includes only some of Jacob's challenges. Throughout his life, he encountered many difficulties, but he was a man of dynamic energy when it came to his worship of Jehovah.
Oh, Grandpa, there were so many things I didn't know about Jacob. I didn't know that he wept when he wrestled with the angel.
That's right. I don't remember seeing that in the Genesis account.
Well, actually, you can read it in the book of Hosea. Hosea chapter 12, verses 3 and 4.
I can read it.
All right, Jason. Read it for us.
It says, "In the belly he seized his brother by the heel, and with his dynamic energy he contended with God. And he kept contending with an angel and gradually prevailed. He wept." Here it is. It says that he wept, that he might implore favor for himself.
This shows that Jacob had very strong feelings about getting that blessing. He really appreciated sacred things.
And Dad, you said you wanted our opinion about something?
Yes, Debbie. And you too, Jason. You're both doing well in your service to Jehovah. Debbie, you're pioneering and going to school to learn a trade. That takes a great deal of personal organization and discipline. And you're doing well. Jason, I know the elders appreciate your help with the microphones during the meetings. And I no longer have to wake you up on Saturday mornings for field service. Like Jacob, you do appreciate your spiritual heritage. But I was wondering, do you feel that any aspects of your service to Jehovah have become mechanical or routine?
You mean, like when Esau was too casual about his responsibilities?
Well, I'm not comparing you or any of us with Esau. That was an extreme example of gross disrespect for sacred things. But if we're not careful, casual or indifferent attitudes can develop over time.
I know what you're saying, Dad. But in my case, I think I have a good attitude towards spiritual things. Have you seen a problem?
Debbie, your father and I feel that as a family, we could do better. Perhaps we're not concentrating enough at the meetings. Maybe we don't take our theocratic responsibilities seriously enough.
I guess that's true. There's always room for improvement.
For example, your father feels that he could have paid better attention during our convention program. I think that I need to be a little more diligent when it comes to keeping up with my Bible reading. And you, Debbie, how are you doing with the student talk you have tomorrow in the Theocratic Ministry School?
I have a pretty good idea of what to say, and I made arrangements with my householder to go over the part tomorrow afternoon.
May I ask you exactly where and when you're going to rehearse?
If you asked me, I'd say she's rehearsing at the Kingdom Hall, 5 minutes before the meeting starts.
Jason!
Thank you, Jason, but I'm not asking you. Debbie, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Like you said, we all have room for improvement.
Well, it's not quite like Jason says. I'm rehearsing 30 minutes before the meeting starts. That gives us plenty of time.
I remember it as if it happened just yesterday. That little girl giving her first student talk in the Theocratic Ministry School. Debbie, you were so prepared.
You remember that, Grandpa? I was so nervous. But I guess I see your point. For a long time, I really took my talk assignments seriously. I prepared well in advance. I have to admit that I don't look at my assignments with the same excitement now that I did years ago. That's one area where I have become somewhat casual. Speaking about being negligent, Jason, tell them about your return visits.
Oh, well, I was telling Debbie about some interested ones I found in field service. In some cases, well, I've had them in mind for weeks, and I've not gone back, even though I offered to return in a few days.
And how do you feel about that, Jason?
I do feel that the preaching work is an assignment from Jehovah, and I take it seriously. But I guess I should be a little more responsible when it comes to my return visits.
It's very good to talk about this. It helps us realize that our eagerness and zeal in serving Jehovah can decline if we're not careful. If we become aware of such an inclination, an important question is, what can we do about it?
Tim, what if we all do some thinking, and at the next family Bible study, we explore some of the things we should do to improve?
Sounds like a great idea. That way I'll have some time tonight to finish my talk for tomorrow.
Good. Perhaps in preparation for our family study, we can research some scriptures, such as those in Revelation about being lukewarm in our service to Jehovah, the scripture about being aglow with the Spirit, and the assurance in Isaiah that Jehovah will renew our dynamic energy and make full might abound. In fact, any material on the subject is welcome.
Good. Now, I have to finish making dinner. Will you stay, Grandpa?
Thank you. I would be delighted.
And I better finish my homework.
Before you go, I have one more thing to say. I want to tell all of you that I'm very happy to belong to this family. A family that loves Jehovah, is willing to make adjustments, and truly appreciates the spiritual heritage we've received from our Heavenly Father, Jehovah.
Jehovah is indeed our Heavenly Father, and as a loving Father, He is the giver of every good gift and every perfect present. What has Jehovah given us? The truth of His Word, the Bible, the hope of everlasting life, and the honor to represent Him as proclaimers of the good news. All of these are part of our invaluable spiritual heritage from Jehovah. Let us do our utmost to remain spiritually active, aglow with the Spirit, declaring the good news with eagerness. Like Jacob, let us actively pursue blessings from Jehovah, resisting the spirit of apathy and indifference. Yes, let us serve Jehovah with our dynamic energy, holding fast to our precious relationship with the Creator, and we will enjoy the deep satisfaction that comes from giving Jehovah our best.